Jonas, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Lovely. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here. Really excited to hear your talk. So for everyone, if whoever has already been on the call, hope you've enjoyed the session so far. And whoever hasn't and is just tuned in, welcome. You're in for quite the ride. So Jonas here, he's a software engineer at McKinsey, and his talk is going to be on how to stake liquidity using Solana and Radium for beginners. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat along the way, and I'm sure we'll have some time at the end for you to ask Jonas directly. So thank you so much. The stage is all yours, and we're excited to learn from you.
Awesome. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, I should have maybe called it for absolute newbies because I'm only slightly above this level myself. So the obligatory disclaimer is none of the things that I'm going to show are part of my day job. My day job is that of a software machine learning engineer, and I'm only a hobbyist and enthusiast. And to be quite frank, I also don't know a lot of the fundamentals. I'm going to demo a few tools and walking you through what they look like from an end user's perspective. But definitely take anything that I'm showing with a grain of salt, and take none of it as financial advice. I'm making no claims whatsoever on any of the financial implications that the things might have. So I got asked to give a quick intro of what is liquidity staking, or what is a DEX, or an automated market maker. Gonna share my screen and gonna keep it super short and sweet. The way I learned about how an automated market maker works is by this blog post that I have on my screen right now. And I'm going to drop all the links in the chat after I'm finished with this session. And I'm also not really qualified to go in deeply here, but the way I understand how an automated market maker works. So in traditional finance, a market maker in a stock exchange, for example, is an entity that is some kind of company or person that will accept trades from you, will make sure they are always available to trade a stock or some kind of derivative with you for a specific price, because they have an incentive to make money from it. And this is how it's been for decades. And it was basically all we knew. I think the idea that a market maker could also be an algorithm is not super new, but it seems that before smart contracts, we didn't really have a way to really put one out there in the wild and see how it works. So nobody knew whether it would work or wouldn't work. But then Uniswap came around, and it turns out it actually does work, and it does work pretty well. And it's been been growing at an exceptional pace. So I only want to bring your attention to one picture. It's an animation in this blog post. But if you don't yet know how an AMM works, be sure to check it out afterwards, because it's a really cool concept. It's such a simple concept also. So the bottom line of it is the smart contract will accept trades to trade one token versus another token. And every time someone makes a trade with the smart contract, the price or the ratio in which you can exchange a token will be skewed into that direction a bit. That will then incentivize another party, an arbitrageur, to come in and make almost the opposite trade to make some arbitrage profit from the trade. And this way the exchange rate will always kind of be in an equilibrium, mirroring the exchange rate that you would find on a centralized exchange like Kraken or Binance or Coinbase. But without actually any kind of human in the loop. So it's only the smart contract and then the arbitrageurs that are incentivized to come in and make trades that will kind of even out the price all the time. And yeah, go and check out the blog post. It's the one concept that I think is fundamental to the rise of all the DEXs, really, to Uniswap and whatever came after. So CoinMarketCap, I think you're all familiar with. We have this tab here, exchanges, where we can click on DEXs, and then we'll have a list of all the DEXs. I'm sure they all have implemented some sort of AMM here. Uniswap started it all, is now listed here on number 3. The one that I'm going to focus on, because I got asked specifically to speak about Solana, is Radium, which is, I think, the first one that is on this list that is built on Solana chain. And when we compare it, it has about 100 mil daily volume, as opposed to Uniswap, for example, that has 1.2 billion. So it's smaller, about 10% of the size of Uniswap, but this is still quite impressive given for how new it is. So then, if you want to go and provide some liquidity to a Radium AMM to take a profit and keep some of the exchange change for yourself, first thing you're going to do is you need a Solana wallet. And the one that I picked is quite popular, I think. See, they only joined Twitter in April of this year, but have already 100K followers, which is, I think, a good sign. And the wallet is really, really well made. So I created a new one with some toy money here. But the quality that it is designed in and the quality of the UI is pretty impressive. I actually like it better than MetaMask, which I think few of you will, or most of you will be familiar with. And I haven't touched on that yet, but the amazing thing about Solana chain as opposed to Ethereum is, and the reason, frankly, why I'm speaking about this now, why I'm enthusiastic about it, is that the transaction fees and the speed of the transactions on Solana chains are so minimal or even ignorable at the moment that you can just go and try out a bunch of different products, put a bit of money here, put a bit of money there, which is what I like to do because I just want to understand how and see how the things work for myself. And looking at a random transaction, I checked this earlier, and I think each individual transaction, what is this? I think a Sol token is about 150 USD right now. So it's significantly less from than a cent. So you really don't need to worry about transaction fees at all. Okay, but let's dive deeper in. So let's say we have a Solana wallet in our Chrome, for example. And then we need to put some Sol, we need to acquire some Sol token somewhere. I think I got mine from Binance probably, transferred it to my Phantom wallet. Then we're coming to Radium. And here we see again, Radium is an on-chain order book AMM, and joined in February this year, has already 200K followers. So I think it's the most significant player in the Solana space at the moment. Go to radium.io. This is what it looks like. Yeah, the trading volume here is different than the one we saw on CoinMarketCap before. I'm not sure why that is. It could be because the CoinMarketCap number was purely the DEX, and maybe this is some kind of other products that are also in there. But again, we see this one is built on Solana as opposed to, for example, Uniswap running on Ethereum or PancakeSwap running on the Binance Smart Chain. When we click Launch App and connect it with our wallet, which I've already done before, we can see we can go to the farms, which is where you would provide liquidity. And you can see all the different pairs that you can exchange for on Radium. So this one is probably one of the most popular, which is the Ray token that fuels Radium and Solana. It's probably the first change or the first swap that anyone would make coming into Radium. And here it also gives you an indication of the expected annual return you will have by providing liquidity to this specific pair. And it gives you an indication of the value that is currently locked in there by all users combined. So focusing on Ray Solana, what this is indicating is that there's a total of 180 mil USD locked in this contract. And there's an expected return from about 40%. With this demo wallet, I went in and looked for one that has a maybe a bit higher APR rate, just so it will be a bit more interesting, and I can filter for the one that I have already provided liquidity for. It's the Polis Ray token, and I didn't do any research for this demo on what Polis actually is. I don't know the project, so please don't take this as any kind of endorsement for this in particular token. It's just a demo. And I can see this is the amount of liquidity I provided to the smart contract, denominated in the particular liquidity pool token. And this is how many rewards I have already claimed. And at any given point in time, I can click harvest, and brings up a phantom transaction. And as I said, the transaction fee is absolutely minimal. So I can improve, and then I will see the new Ray token, a new Polis token in my wallet that I can then, if I want to, what's the word? If I want to compound my interest, basically, I can now take this rewards, buy more, or convert them into more liquidity token, and stake a bit more, and this way I'll get my my compound reward. So this is almost all the content that I have, except one bonus thing that I also wanted to show you. And also a meta note that I wanted to make. So I'm almost expecting that some of the information that I'm giving is wrong. So if there's anyone here who can point out anything that is wrong about what I'm saying, I'm also super open for you to just shout out, interrupt me, because I'm also here to learn at the end of the day. So the last final bonus tool that I wanted to show you is this very cool tool that I also just discovered by searching for. I wanted to have some kind of nice dashboard to monitor the Solana staking activity that I'm doing. And I found this tool that I liked a lot. It's called Step Finance, and it's under heavy development. So I think it has a very cool active developer. And every day I log in here, there's some new features or some things moved around, and that's something that really gets me excited when I see something is just a live thing, and not like my traditional CeFi online banking that looks still like it's coming from the 90s essentially. And the cool thing about this dashboard is it gives you an overview. So here I see, okay, I have about with this account like 60 USD in yield farms and a bit of change that is not used for anything in my wallet, and shows me my balances also. It's just a more interesting view, or more cleaner view. Might also be a bit buggy here and there, but the one thing that really caught my attention was, and the feature seems to be disabled today. I think it was here yesterday, but it has a nice compound feature, where here I think was a little compound button. So because what I just showed you, when I have to go and manually, if I want the compound to harvest, then get new LP token, stake it again. It's a bit of a hassle. And with this compound button, the app Step Finance kind of basically pre-filled all the transaction that I needed to do. So I literally only needed to make click, 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 and then that was my compound for the day. And I just thought it was a well thought out feature and was well made. And lastly, I think this view was also interesting, but it changes quite frequently. Is here, I think the idea is that it gives you an overview of the entire ecosystem. So I here have like a long list of potential tokens on different exchanges, I guess. So somewhere in here used to be Radium. I can't see it now, but it was just a useful feature that you could over all kind of dexes or exchange, for example, sort by the highest predicted annual returns, if that was something that you were curious about to learn. And I think that's I think I just told you in now 15 minutes basically everything that I know. So I'm a bit actually hesitant to now take questions, because I'm kind of certain that I'm not going to be really qualified to answer your questions. But maybe if there are questions, maybe we can transition this into more of a group discussion, and hopefully there'll be someone qualified in the audience to answer your question. But in general, that would be it from my side.
Yeah, we could definitely circulate questions and ideas among each other. Jonas, thank you so much for presenting that. It was really helpful and provide a lot of insight into the ecosystem itself. Now, there is a question here from Belinda who does ask, can you quickly explain what Radium represents and what it stands for?
Yeah, I can't. So the way I look at Radium, and I'm only looking at it very superficial, is I'm thinking about it as the Uniswap on Solana chain. So the originally a decentralized exchange, Amm, that I explained before, that is also grown into offering like other kind of financial products. But this is the best answer that I can give you right now. If there's any
Very
here.
fair.
If there's anyone else here who knows a bit more, I'm also super curious to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone that would like to chime in, please feel free to unmute yourself and go for it. And I did have a question as well, and it pertained to essentially, if you have it from your experience, any other approaches that one might take to get involved in the Solana ecosystem, such as a Radium or any projects, like what are the barriers to entry from what you've experienced so far?
Sorry, I wouldn't know. So I'm not actually active in the ecosystem yet as a developer or an entrepreneur, for example. I've been playing with the tools as a user, and I would say as a user and as an enthusiast, like my entry point and my kind of central dashboard is always CoinMarketCap, just to find links to like new platforms and new tools.
Yeah.
But I'm also actually trying to figure that out myself. Like how can I actually become more involved? Because I do believe that we are seeing the future of finance happening right in front of our eyes.
So true, and we're seeing applied in various ways as well. There's not a unilateral way to go about it. So it's really interesting. It's so true, just the emergence of it all, and that's why the circulation of conversation is so necessary, because even an idea that sparks can become the next project on the ecosystem.
Exactly.
There is a question here from Olivia. If anyone would like to even answer, or if you personally have the answer, she says, if any, what are the risks in providing liquidity?
Oh, yeah, I can point out a few risks, and there might be more. So on the I think there's different layers. So for example, any of those tools that I just showed you, like going from the Phantom wallet or the Radium wallet, I have no idea. So any of these could be potentially fraud. Like none of these are like any kind of so some of these might be built by anonymous people, so you might not even know who's behind them. So if you're not a person who can actually go in and look at the smart contract and understand what they're doing, you kind of always have to put forward some degree of trust in just like your gut feeling that a product looks like something that you might want to trust your money to. But it's certainly not something that I don't know, a police or any kind of court would help you out with if it just like sucked up all your money. So I think you're pretty much in the Wild West. Yeah, that's one of the risks. Second layer I can think of, okay, given everything that I just said is not a fraud, then the APR, that is not a promise. It's like it's a forecast from the rewards that the smart contract has paid out recently or historically, but the rewards might shrink significantly when the value lock goes up, and you see that happening all the time. So whenever there's a new pair that has very low liquidity yet locked, then the APR is typically quite high, but then it attracts more people to chip in, and that lowers the expected returns. So that was the second layer. Third layer is you also have no idea how those tokens are going to perform in the future. So if you're providing Solana token liquidity and Solana goes down by 90%, so do you. So these are like three main categories I can think of, but also curious to learn about more.
Yes, precisely. Would you also be able to throw in the chat the article that elaborated further on the automated market makers? Yes,
yep.
This one. Lovely. Thank you so much. So that is for everyone's access there. That is what inspired Jonas to learn about the automated market makers, and hopefully to do so for yourself as well. So is there anything to touch up upon, final remarks, anything that you would like anyone to know in regards to the ecosystem? And even on top of that, just any final questions that you even have for us that we can answer in terms of how we can merge these ecosystems and grow together as a community?
From my side, I'm good.
Awesome.
Oh, but it was a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. Again, extraordinarily helpful, and just really provides deeper insight into the varying ways that these projects are being applied in the ecosystem. So the Radium one was very helpful there.
Very good.
Hey, Jonas. Sorry, I was in a separate parallel side event to this. So I need now a 1 minute or 2 minute executive summary of the key takeaways.
Okay.
From this, that would be super helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So decentralized exchanges, you leverage automated market makers. If you don't know how an automated market maker works, go and learn it, because it's the basis of a lot of what is going on in DeFi. If you want to experiment with the automated maker on Solana chain, go download Phantom Wallet. It's very well made. Acquire some Sol token, put it on your wallet, go to Radium, which is the largest AMM and DEX on Solana chain, and use your Phantom Wallet to do something fun, provide liquidity. The transaction fees are extremely low. So there's really there's a low entry barrier to just like put a couple of cents, even like in some contract here and there. It's quite fun to learn about these things. And if you want to step up and go a bit further, I also recommended this platform, which is more like a dashboard called Step Finance, that you can also connect with your wallet, and then it will give you an overview of all different kind of contracts or platforms that you've interacted with. That would be the summary. And of course, none of this is financial advice.
Yes, duly noted.
Thank you
so much. That was a solid recap as well.
Okay, that's a bad experience from PancakeSwap. That sounds interesting.
Apologies from PancakeSwap?
Yeah, no, they're in the, somebody posted in the chat they had a bad experience with PancakeSwap.
Oh, yes, I see here. So it just goes on to add on to some of the risk that you've alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
And this is definitely something to think of mitigating and see what we could do as much as we can to make sure that we are, leveraging risk in the right way and not doing so where we're exposing ourselves to, detrimental effects financially. So very interesting there. And even just a last touch up on the automated market maker, if you don't mind, is do you have any experience with what happens during over collateralization or just any experience in terms of the movement of the AMM itself?
I think it's. I think I observed a couple of times this cycle that I mentioned before, that if there's a new kind of listing or pair that draws, they typically try to incentivize, or the smart contracts incentivize people with offering like very high returns for the first mover, so to say. But if something becomes popular, then those like estimated returns lower drastically because it's also keeping the ecosystem in a kind of equilibrium. And a lot of those, and I think a lot of those platforms and also like the stake pools and stake farms, for example, are still in a phase where they're just trying to generate a lot of attention, pull in a lot of new users and wallets by offering what looks like superficially super high return rates. But I think it's then really up to each and everyone to really do their own research, do their own math, and try to find out what is actually realistic to achieve here.
Yeah, precisely.
So take everything that gets promised for you with a grain of salt, as you would in any kind of business transaction.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's all prepare for our next speaker session. We have Bianca coming up in 4 minutes. So please recoup, grab yourself a water, anything that you'd like to do, and we'll be revisiting in the next couple of minutes here.
Awesome.
Thank you guys
Thanks
so much.
for the invite.
Jonas, thank you. Such a pleasure.
See you soon.